Welcome to the Daily English Podcast. We are so glad you are here with us today. We are taking a deep dive into a very special topic, our memories of growing up.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. We have a really wonderful collection of personal stories to talk about today, real stories from all kinds of different people.
And before we start, I just want to mention our style for today. We are going to keep the English very simple, very clear, and very basic.
Right, exactly. We want this deep dive to be a safe, easy space for you to practice listening to English.
So if you are a beginner, do not worry. We've got you.
We definitely do. And the stories we are exploring today are just beautiful. We are looking at memories of where people lived, how they played, their scary first days of school, and, the teachers who really changed their lives.
It is so universal, right? I want to start with the physical places where these children grew up because the environment completely shapes a child's brain.
Oh, absolutely. It changes everything.
Yeah. And looking at our sources, there is this massive difference between the children who grew up in a really busy city and the children who grew up in the quiet country.
Right. The daily routines are, they're completely different. The sensory input is just not the same at all.
Like in the sources, people from the city describe living in these small fifth-floor apartments.
Yeah, and they talk about the noise, just constant loud traffic noise.
Exactly. Cars everywhere. They had to walk on hard concrete sidewalks just to get to a small, crowded park. Because, playing in the street was just way too dangerous.
It's almost like living inside a soundproof booth, but the radio is turned up to maximum volume. There's just so much noise and action hitting you all the time.
That is a great way to describe it. Your brain has to learn to block out those loud street sounds. It forces you to focus on tiny details just to find some peace.
Right, like that one story in the text.
Oh, the duck story.
Yeah.
Yes.
A child remembers going to a tiny park pond and just feeding pieces of bread to a single duck.
Just one duck in a sea of concrete. But they found nature.
They really did. Yeah. Because the brain just adapts. If the city is a loud radio in a small room, well, the country is like a huge empty concert hall.
Wow, yeah. The space is just massive.
Exactly. And the brain expands to fill it. The people from the country describe living in small towns with huge green mountains all around them.
They had all that fresh air.
Yeah.
Wide open spaces.
And the rooster. Don't forget the rooster.
Oh, right. Waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning because a loud rooster is just screaming outside the window.
It is so different from traffic noise. Their special memories are all about climbing tall trees and just looking up at an endless blue sky.
It makes me think of a painting. If you imagine life like a painting, the city is painted with bright, busy colors and really fast movements.
Oh, I like that.
Thanks. And the country is painted in these soft, quiet greens and big, wide-open spaces. But, are we saying one is better? The open sky sounds much healthier than dirty city traffic.
Well, the sources actually show us that the location does not change the amount of joy. Yeah. Children are just incredibly adaptable. The city child looking at the duck and the country child looking at the sky, they're feeling the exact same feeling of wonder.
Ah, so they just use different objects to get to that same happy feeling.
Exactly. And that adaptability really shows up when we look at how these kids played.
Oh, the games. Yes, let's talk about the games. They found ways to have fun no matter where they lived.
It is amazing. The sources talk about games that seem to exist in almost every culture in the whole world, with very simple rules.
Like hide and seek, that is a perfect example.
Right. One child covers their eyes, they count to 10, and then they shout, "Ready or not, here I come."
While all the other kids are just holding their breath, hiding behind trees or, under beds.
It is a universal thrill, that feeling of hiding.
We also see these beautiful memories of riding a bicycle. One person in the source material describes having a red bike.
Oh, with the shiny streamers on the handles?
Yes, the plastic streamers blowing in the wind. They describe riding that bike as a feeling of total, absolute freedom.
Well, a bicycle is usually a child's very first time traveling independently.
That makes sense. Before the bike, an adult walks you everywhere.
Right, or they drive you everywhere.
Yeah.
But the moment you push the pedals on a bike yourself, you control your own speed.
You choose your own direction. You have power in the world.
Exactly. And building things gave them that same power, like building pretend castles out of blankets in the living room.
Or working with Dad during the summer to build a real treehouse out of wood.
Yeah, kids just love to build their own spaces.
They really do. But I want to stop and ask a question here. Because there is a story in the text where kids are kicking an empty plastic bottle around a dirty street.
Right, pretending it's a soccer ball.
Yeah. And it is easy to say, oh, that is so beautiful. But do children really need expensive toys to be happy? Or are we just pretending poverty is beautiful when really they just could not afford a real ball?
That is a really important question. We definitely should not ignore the reality of poverty. Lacking resources is not a good thing.
Right. It is a hard life.
It is. But the feeling of play in these stories does not depend on the object. The magic happens because the children were carefree.
Carefree. Let's make sure we explain that word.
Of course. Carefree means having absolutely no worries, no adult responsibilities. Your mind is free.
So because their minds are carefree, they can use imagination.
Exactly. The plastic bottle is just a tool. A carefree mind projects imagination onto the real world. So that plastic bottle literally becomes a World Cup soccer ball in their minds.
Wow. The imagination does all the hard work. The toy itself really does not matter.
Not at all.
Oh.
But, that period of wild imagination does not last forever.
No, it doesn't. Eventually, every child hits a wall,
Yeah.
the carefree days stop, and the structured world begins.
The first day of school.
Yes, the big step. This is a huge life change.
It really is. They are separated from their family for the very first time. They have to follow a strict schedule in a new building, surrounded by strangers.
It is a massive shock. And looking at the sources, children react in completely different ways.
They really do. Some are just terrified.
Yeah, the nervous children, they are shy, they are scared of the big building, they cry, and they hold their mother's hand very, very tightly.
That physical gripping of the hand, it shows us exactly how the brain processes fear.
Really? How so?
Well, there's a part of the brain called the amygdala. It handles alarms and danger. On the first day of school, the amygdala is screaming, "We are unsafe."
So they squeeze their mom's hand to feel safe.
Yes. Physical touch releases chemicals that actually calm the nervous system down.
Wait, so think about adults. Sometimes I feel anxiety when I walk into a crowded room of strangers, like at a work event. Is that the same fear?
It is the exact same biological mechanism. Your brain is trying to understand too much unknown information.
Oh, wow. So it's like stepping onto an alien planet.
That is a perfect analogy.
You don't know the rules, you don't know the people, the buildings look weird. It's totally alien.
But, not all the children were scared of that alien planet.
Right. Some kids were excited. They were brave.
They ran straight into the classroom without even saying goodbye.
I love that. They just wanted to show everyone their brand new pink backpack and their new shoes.
Right. Those children just want social connection. They want to be seen by other kids.
And those social connections happen so fast. There's that beautiful memory of a child making their very first friend.
Oh, by sharing the crayons.
Yes, they just slid some crayons across the table so they could draw pictures together. They didn't even use words.
It is so simple, but so powerful. And honestly, if going to school is like stepping onto an alien planet, adults do this too.
We do.
Think about you, the listener. You are learning English right now. You are stepping onto a new planet with new rules and new sounds.
Oh, that is so true. You might feel shy or nervous when you try to speak English out loud.
And that is completely normal. Feeling nervous just means your brain is growing and adapting, just like on the first day of school.
But once you are inside that new school, you need a guide. The adults in the classroom, the teachers, they make all the difference.
A good teacher changes everything. A normal teacher just gives you facts. But a great teacher, they shape how you see yourself.
The sources are full of memories about these special teachers, like the early childhood teacher, Mrs. Wilson.
Oh, yeah. The person telling that story doesn't even remember what Mrs. Wilson taught.
Right. They only remember her gray hair and her warm, kind smile.
Because that smile made a terrified child feel safe.
Emotional safety has to come first.
Exactly. A brain that feels scared simply cannot learn. Mrs. Wilson's smile turned off that fear alarm in the brain.
And as the kids get older, the teachers change their lives in different ways. Like the high school art teacher, Mr. Henderson.
Yes. A student was so frustrated because their drawing was not perfect.
And Mr. Henderson said, art isn't about being perfect, it is about expressing yourself.
He completely took away the fear of making a mistake. By telling the student to just express themselves, he made it okay to not be perfect.
That is huge. And then there's the English teacher, the one who gave a student extra books to read.
Yeah, and told him, you could be a real writer one day.
Decades later, that student is a real published author. I mean, why do we remember these specific teachers decades later? What is their secret?
The secret is that they were encouraging.
Encouraging. Let's explain that.
To be encouraging means giving someone the confidence to believe in their own abilities. When a teacher looks at a child and says something positive, the child's brain accepts it as a fact.
So saying you could be a writer actually rewires the kid's brain.
Yes. It changes their expectations for their own future. They start making choices to become that successful person.
That is incredible. But all these memories, the red bike, the first day of school, the kind teachers, they would just disappear if our brains couldn't store them.
True. We had to keep them alive somehow.
And people rarely remember the exact date something happened. Instead, they remember how it smelled or how it sounded.
Because the parts of your brain that handle your physical senses are physically connected to your emotional memories.
So it is biology again.
Totally. It is not an accident that a smell brings back a memory.
Like smelling old books. Somebody in the sources talked about opening an old book and smelling that dry, dusty paper.
Or the baking story. The sweet, warm smell of chocolate chip cookies.
Oh, yeah. Mixing the white flour and the sugar. Just smelling a cookie today, 50 years later, makes them feel like their grandmother's right there in the room.
Right. Because the part of your brain that handles smell has a direct line to your memory center.
It bypasses logic completely.
Exactly. It just unlocks the emotional feeling of being loved by your grandmother. And sounds do the exact same thing.
Like hearing a loud school bell or a specific pop song on the radio. It instantly transports you back in time.
It really does.
But there is one memory in the text that uses every single sense. It's perfect. The snow day memory.
Ah, yes. For our listeners who might not know, a snow day is when the winter weather is so bad with so much heavy snow that the schools have to close.
Right. It is like a surprise holiday.
It's the best kind of holiday.
The story describes waking up and noticing the special, heavy silence in the house, then looking out the window and seeing a totally white world.
Knowing you do not have to go to school.
Pure joy. They put on heavy coats, go out into the freezing air, and build a giant snowman.
Oh, and using the buttons from the mother's sewing box for the snowman's eyes.
Yes. And then feeling the sharp, cold pain of a snowball hitting their jacket during a snowball fight.
Reading a memory that vivid brings up a really complex emotion. We call it feeling nostalgic.
Nostalgic. That is a great word for our listeners to learn.
Yeah. Being nostalgic is that warm, happy, but slightly sad feeling you get when you think about the past.
Happy and sad at the same time.
Yes. You feel happy because the memory is beautiful. But you feel a little sad because you know that time's gone. You can never be a 6-year-old building a snowman again.
Wow. Nostalgic, smiling with a heavy heart. I want you, the listener, to pause right now. Just think about it. What smells or sounds or tastes make you feel nostalgic?
It is a great question.
Is it the smell of wet dirt after it rains? Or maybe the sound of a train near your old house? Or the taste of a soup your father made?
And trying to translate those deep personal memories into simple English words is an amazing way to practice.
Definitely. We have covered so much ground today.
We really have.
We explored how the busy city and the quiet country shape our early lives. We talked about carefree games, the fear of the first day of school, and the teachers who encouraged us.
And we looked at how our physical senses lock all those nostalgic moments into our minds.
We spend a lot of time looking backward at the past. But as you go through your day-to-day, I want to leave you with a different thought.
What is that?
Look around you right now. What simple, completely ordinary moment happening today might become a beautiful, nostalgic memory for you in the future?
Oh, I love that. The present moment is just a memory waiting to be formed.
Maybe it's the warmth of your coffee cup right now, or the quiet sound of the street while you listen to us speak. Someday, today will be the past.
So it is worth paying attention to.
Absolutely. Keep practicing your English every single day. Speak with confidence. And thank you for learning with the Daily English Podcast. We will catch you on the next deep dive.